A lot can change in a generation. For instance, in my lifetime alone, there's been a marked decline in respect for each other, a further move towards blind acceptance rather than critical thinking, and a growing loss of invention and imagination. Owning one's own problems or mistakes seems to be out of fashion, and no one wants to be who they are, or if they do, they want to have acknowledgement and privilege from everyone for having those differences. In a world where we've been trained into order at the ring of a Pavlovian bell to rush off to work in a uniform of some type that singles us out as owned by a particular corporation for the day, some do not realize we are all different because all they can see are those forcing themselves to conform in order to just get by. Of course, a lot more has changed while my generation wasn't looking. Too tied up in red tape, filling in forms, or trying to make ends meet in a world where our lives and worth are measured in ever-decreasing hourly rates, inflation and decreasing food packaging have chipped away at our ability to provide for our families, sometimes leading to aggression towards each other or being withdrawn from our family as we see no way to have a quality of life for ourselves, all the while having to pay increasing taxes and duties to the truly privileged so they can live by another set of rules and not have to endure the very system they make us live in. So let's have a look at some of these changes and what remains the same. Remember though that of course this is just my point of view. This first one I'm going to call respect. Something drummed into me by the previous generation as a mantra was a mythical time when you could leave your doors unlocked and your neighbours would look out for each other and kids playing in the street. What we don't tend to factor in is that at this time families could still afford to have a parent at home to clean, cook and provide moral guidance for the children. That and some free time remaining that allowed the pastime of curtain twitching made the ability of certain undesirables to try and rob your home less likely, due to the high chance of someone being home or being seen by someone across the street. Having police walking a beat, being firm but fair, and having respect for the locals would have helped retain respect for them as well. The local streets were their own tribes, and the police were the peacekeepers and confidants should a tribe want to treat an outsider to their own form of justice, or if an extra independent eye was needed to help look in on an elderly person, or perhaps watch the local hooligan. Alas, the last vestiges of a tribal neighbourhood have disappeared with the need for everyone in the household to work to make ends meet. With this, our sense of community has all but disappeared. No longer do we participate in our community, but you have to go out of your way to volunteer to help your neighbour, who now eyes you with suspicion. And you probably need to apply for a licence to even offer to help in case it can be somehow taxed. Here's a well-known secret that we need reminding ourselves of sometimes. We are all different, but also the same in many ways. Now by this I mean we all have wants and needs, some different and some the same, but all need respecting if we are to have a civilization. To further drill down in this thought, let's use the old adage that we all put on our trousers one leg at a time, or if you prefer, we all have to go to the toilet. In other words, we're all the same animal. We are, though, special in our own uniqueness and in our mind and soul. Those politicians that so adeptly sidestep any meaningful questions, the CEOs of major corporations, the elite sports people, the person that cleans the public toilets, the person that mows your lawn, the person serving you with that burger and fries, they're all part of our tribe, no matter the colour of their skin, sexual orientation, age, etc. If we respect each other, we can move on to greater things. If we don't, things will start to fall apart. Take a corporation, for instance. If there's no respect, jobs will start being half done because those in positions of power no longer honour those who work for the company. More and more oppression will be forced on those further down the chain. KPIs are introduced. More work is put on fewer individuals or departments because of the love of profits, and more money is spent on keeping workers in line with surveillance, enforcement, or devices than raising the workers' wage, for instance. This is an ever-decreasing circle. As people are more and more unhappy, they rebel in small ways that they're left to the only things they can do. They take longer toilet breaks, there's a lower quality job done, more sick leaves taken, and so more imposition is put on them and the ones still trying to cope with the added pressure. Clocking in and out cards, reporting for toilet breaks, more KPIs, perhaps an incentive system poorly thought out that will cause unintended animosity towards colleagues because of perceived or true favoritism, and all this leading to more disgruntled people. So I say again, no matter the age, sex, colour, religion, etc., if we are cut, do we not bleed? A person may live in a cardboard box, or they might live in a gated community, but you will only really get to know someone by their actions and intent. They should not lose your respect unless they show they do not deserve it in the first place. I'm tired of the division of the modern day groups. They spout women's rights or think of LGBT community or something, but then they shout, we don't want to hear what you have to say. And documentaries like The Red Pill and various speakers are banned or harassed out of presenting a counter-argument. I simply wish to hear both sides of the conversation. I ask, where's the respect? If you show none by your actions, how can you demand some? Truly, if the counter-argument holds no merit, it will be abandoned soon enough. Why oppress it? Without debate, you're just a dictator. Everyone deserves respect. They also deserve the right to do whatever they want with consenting adults in their own homes. I'm not the judge, and neither are you. Be however you want to be, as long as you respect others for the same. It matters not if you are large or small, old or young, how many limbs you have. You are on this earth because the same chance a sperm had to fertilize a particular egg happened. You don't deserve to have less respect than a CEO. They may be paid more than you are, but are you any less important? Everyone ultimately is expendable, and I mean everybody. There is a lot more to say on respect and indeed self-respect, where if we were allowed the luxury of not having to give some self-respect for money in this world, I probably would not have so many cold calls trying to sell me solar panels these days. But let me leave you with this idea, which may be an elaboration of a quote, I'm not sure, but if you don't give the same respect to others you would demand yourself, what does that say about you as a human being? You may respectfully disagree with an opinion, but you'll never grow if you never allow a new thought or opinion to be acknowledged. Well, I guess I should end with my thoughts on a solution to the problem. Simply, I believe we need to have a parent in the home and possibly homeschooling. In other words, a step back in time, but without the assumption it should be a female cooking and cleaning. We need community built up again. We need common morals and respect held in check by those curtain twitchers again. We also need a family being able to live on a single wage again to allow a family to be just that, and not every individual becoming an automaton, moving between work and home with little time for anything else. The reason for the current state brought about by corporations may be just trying to get jobs so close to automation that it's an easy transition to do away with employees entirely. But I'll leave that discussion for another time. One thing is plain though, without self-respect and respect for others, we are nothing but beings moving towards total conformity to the system with no room for questioning our circumstance. We will become mere worker bees, fetching honey for the queen and growing replacement workers.